Hello there. Today I am here, Sam. I'm here with Tom, Cheng, and Ricky. And we just watched the First Nations Principles of Learning video, and we're here with a reflection about the key points, how it relates to course contents and etc. So, basically the video was about the need to treat the heart and the mind, and you can teach the mind just by talking to them. But to get into the heart, it's about how you're treated. And as humans, there are four human needs that we need to consider on how humans should be treated. So every human needs to feel like they're significant, to feel like they're competent, they have power, and they have virtue. And in in the ancestry of the First Nations, they had four ways of showing this to children. And it was by creating a sense of belonging, by showing a sense of independence, mastery, and generosity. So today we'll be going over those four. So when it comes to belonging, belonging lets you know how important you are. It's also the most important human experience. Like belonging is innate, so every human is born with the wanting to belong, to feel like they are important. It doesn't need to be taught. This is important when it comes to teaching differently abled children. Differently abled children may feel that they're different from everybody else, but their teachers need to create an environment where the children can feel a sense of belonging. This is also important for the peers of the students. It's important to teach everybody the importance of belonging and give others a sense of belonging, even to the other students, so that now their classmates know how to treat people who are maybe they might look at as different, but to treat everyone the same and not to discriminate. So everyone has a sense of belonging. It's also important that the parents treat the children correctly at home and give them a sense of belonging and also teach them how to treat others. In my high school, there was only a discretion between the specially able students and the others when it came to the classes that it mattered. When it came to like gym class, lunch, clubs, and other stuff, everybody was included together. There was no separation. And I feel like this was helpful in creating a sense of belonging for everybody. In my professional experience, I volunteered at a youth camp for children with special needs a few summers ago. My most important task was to show all the kids that they belonged by spending time with all the kids in my group, even the ones who were shy and they weren't outgoing. I still treated them the same, make sure everyone felt like they belonged. A major takeaway I got from this is that teachers can teach the mind of students, which they usually do, but it's also important to teach the heart and to do that by actions. So the teacher should lead by example. Yeah,
That's
on
great,
to
Sam.
mastery.
Yeah. My section is on, or the human need that I'll be covering is mastery. And I feel like mastery is a very important thing for everyone, uh, like in general. We feel like we need to have a sense of like completion or success to be able to feel fulfilled in our lives. And I feel like that's no different for differently able children as well. To be able to teach differently able children, we need to empower them and give them the tools and power they need to be able to carry out the tasks of everyday activities on their own instead of doing everything for them. So, uh, like some of the things that we can do to help them achieve that is to set clear, individualized goals so that they can have a plan of what they're about to do, and they themselves choose what they want to do. And we can use like smart goals, for example, to have them have realistic and relevant, attainable, and measurable plans for themselves. And additionally, we can use differentiated instructions to tailor teaching strategies such as different like learning styles and interests and different approaches for students to master concepts and skills. We can also use multi-sensory learning as students who are able to experience education through these various methods help students engage and master material. And also repetition and practice. We can teach students how to learn by themselves, give them the tools to be able to like repeat and practice themselves so they can learn on their own time and master their and conquer their own mastery. Uh, and we can use like assessments continuously throughout the learning term to be able to monitor a child's journey towards mastery and help them towards their success. Uh, Other things such as assistive technology, collaboration, and parental slash guardian involvement are also important for them to be able to achieve mastery in their own respective wants and needs. Something that I took away from this video in regards to mastery is that everyone has the desire to succeed, and we should help them towards that on their own and not spoon feed them anything. Something from my own personal experience uh, towards mastery is I worked at a day camp in like the summer 3 years ago, and a lot of the kids there want to do stuff on their own, such as applying their own sunscreen, eating their own food. So we just gave them the tools and showed them how to do it, and let them do it themselves, which I feel is related to this video. That is it for mastery.
Okay, I'll be covering independence. I feel like what Tom said covered quite a lot of independence, saying showing them how to do it and then them doing it themselves. But what I think of independence and how the video says it is by being independent, you're being strong, and the only way to do this is through discipline. And and I think discipline is something that is quite hard for uh, exceptional children. Like often they'll have a lot of urges, or like there are things that they just simply cannot complete themselves. But I think it is still important for teachers, parents, guardians to try to assist them as best as they can, such that they can do things themselves, such as like clothing themselves, eating, um, stuff like this. And it related to like when I was watching the video, I immediately thought of the sensory issue when the child was putting on clothes, and then the child would like hate it, whatever. But that's something that the parents, teachers have to put the child through for them to get used to, so that they will do it themselves and they can proceed on quote unquote their normal lives. Um, yeah, but also I feel like it is often overlooked. Teachers a lot of times like there are a lot of like kind teachers, who like if you go up to them, you have an issue, and then they'll try their best to help you get the issue resolved. But I think more teachers should try and give kids their independence, telling them to do it themselves. And if they don't know how to, you can show them and then ask them to try, keep trying. Like how Tom said it, keep trying. Eventually, they'll be able to do certain things that they previously weren't, and they'll be able to do it now. And that's it for me.
Then the last virtue that the First Nation and the indigenous people teach is that of generosity. The principle of generosity is being able to contribute to others, being able to give cherished things to others. Right? Generosity is a mainstay virtue that can be readily adapted into schools to help assist the differently abled children. Right, the basics such as being generous with one's time and patience can help assist in teaching not only the differently able children, but also instill virtues into all of the children that will help further their overall growth, right? Because each child learns material and content at their own rates, and being able to be generous with their time will translate into children being able to help and willing to help others and their peers when they need assistance. And this will foster a sense of like belonging and inclusion for those who are differently abled. And this will ultimately further everyone's growth and development because children are naturally generous, right? They're willing to give to others. And from my personal experience as a summer counselor, right, they are willing to help and assist people uh, who are in need, but such virtues tend to be lost with time. So being constantly exposing them to such ideas will assist in their not only their personal development and growth, but also of those with learning difficulties, and overall empower the entire collective, right? And many of the indigenous beliefs about teaching passes on information through like speech and storytelling, right? And we know such practices as storytelling is a very powerful way to help acclimate children whose brains are differently able, right? This allows them to have sort of like a platform that they can rely on, that when they're placed in a different environment, they have something that they can brace onto, so they're not just panicked and anxious, right? Implementing uh, stories and help build upon these their children and about stories such as generosity and well just overall experiences in life will help them grow and develop more. I think one of the main takeaways from this video is once again about teaching through the heart, right? Because many of the differently abled children have difficulty internalizing information through the like normal ways of teaching. And by alternating the teaching style and rather than focusing on just giving them information and facts, we give them experiences and actual like events and things that they can rely on. They'll help uh, grow their ability more than just teaching them things at face value.
I agree. The thing that you mentioned about teaching through the heart, I feel like it's very similar to the way we, like we're taught in class in EPSE, how to teach differently able children. Like what we learned as the normal curriculum for normal students is learning through the mind mostly, right? Like
Yeah, most of the time it's just
yeah,
teaching
teaching
through.
equations and stuff that they
Yeah,
like have to memorize and they have to carry out later on. But for differently able children, it's more of like teaching hands-on experience and teaching how they can do some themselves. And the stories that you mentioned is very similar to the social stories that we learned in class.
Mhm.
How when we want differently able children to be able to do a certain activity, we have to explain to them through images and actions how to do each step correspondingly. So I feel like that's a very strong connection between indigenous teachings and how we can learn to teach differently able children.
Yeah, because the way we teach differently abled children just traditionally doesn't really they don't can't really integrate it into their minds. So by alternating, yeah, changing the way we teach them to more focus on experiences and real hands-on sort of in person rather than just through facts and information, well then like not only coincides with more of the indigenous way of teaching, but actually I feel like it will be more effective in allowing those children to understand and actually uh, know what is going on and happening.
I agree. I think another thing that the video touched on is like how learning is a holistic process. You know, like how learning is like a all-encompassing activity instead of just learning one specific thing like each day. You're learning the entire like school process is an entire process that all goes together.
Yeah,
And I feel like for differently able children, we need to um, have that as a more of a significant like part that we have to emphasize that learning is holistic and that like everything connects together, right? So we need to be able to give them tools for them to succeed in all areas of learning instead of just one area.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything else to add? All right, that wraps
I
up.
think that I would like to, wait. I think that I would like to say one thing.
Yeah.
I don't think the video really touched on it, but I think, well, how I interpret it, like from like the First Nations people learning, the type of learning, like they have like very like personal relationships with like the kids that they're raising. And in the school system, like we often aren't allowed to have like personal relationships with like our mentors, whatnot. And I think like having a personal relationship, being able to like talk to them, open to them, will I feel like it should help your learning in a long way. And that is like what the exceptional children need as well, like a lot more than we do.
I
Yeah.
agree. Anything else,
Is this it?
guys? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that concludes our reflection for this week's video. I hope you guys all learned something from this video, and we'll see each other again very soon. Peace.